How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Unknown Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. If you guys want access to a private repository, there's a link in the description down below that'll walk you through exactly how to gain access to that. Now, with that being said, let's go and hop into what we're working on today. Today, we're going to go ahead and continue working on setting up the stuff we need to start working on the profile here on the front end. Specifically, today, we're going to go ahead and focus on setting up a new slice to go ahead and fetch all of the data that we're going to need, and we'll see how far we get from there. We might be able to actually start working on the profile. It all just depends on timing and whatnot, so we'll see whenever we get there. So with that being said, let's hop into the front end. And also, I want to go ahead and just mention that I'm still getting over a little bit of a sickness. So if I sound a little bit weird, I have to take some breaks to cough and get a drink and whatnot. That's why. Fingers crossed, hopefully I can get through this soon. But with that being said, once again, let's hop into the code. So like I mentioned, we're going to be going and starting out in the front end here, and we're going to be setting up a new slice. So let's go into public. We're going to go into our Redux slices, and then let's go ahead and create a profile slice.ts. Let's go and hop in here. So we're going to go ahead and create a couple things here. So first, we're going to go ahead and set up an interface. Interface. We're going to go ahead and call this edits profile and state. We're not going to need this quite yet, but we're going to go ahead and set it up. It's going to have a nickname, which is a string. It's going to have a bio, which is a string. It's going to have a location, which is a string or null. If I could type, that'd be cool. And then we're also going to have a website URL, which is a string or null. Maybe if I could type. There we go. And we're also going to have our interface, and this will be profile slice state. Here we're going to have a loading user, which will be a boolean. We're going to go ahead and have a profile user. It's going to be a user or undefined. That way we can kind of reset it whenever we're not on the profile. We're going to have our edit profile state. So this would be edit profile state. We're going to go ahead and have loading post. This is going to be a boolean. Then we're going to need the profile posts, and this is going to be feed post array, or it's going to be undefined whenever we're not on here. We're going to also have profile likes for whenever the user's logged in and they're on their feed or on their profile. So this will also be a feed post or undefined, maybe undefined. Okay. And then we're going to have loading following, and this is going to be boolean. And then we have a bunch of stuff for loading. So we're going to have profile following. This is going to be a user array. We're going to have profile followers. This is going to be a user array. We're going to go ahead and have profile verified. Okay, I spelled it right. Followers. And this is also going to be a user array. And then finally, we're going to have profile followers and I believe that's correct. And this is going to be a user array. I want to make sure I get all these right. And then finally, we'll have an error, which is the boolean. That is our state. So let's go ahead and just set up the initial state. So const initial state, and this is going to be a profile slice, like a type state, and then equal to here. So here our loading user will be false because obviously we're not loading user by default. We're going to go ahead and have our profile user be undefined by default, and this is going to be an easy way for us to basically reset all the info. Edit profile. In here we're going to go ahead and have nick name equal to an empty string whenever there's no user. We'll have our bio equal to an empty string when there's no user. We'll have our location equal to an empty string. We'll have our website URL also be an empty string whenever there's no user in there. We'll have our loading post. This will be false as well. We're going to have our profile post be undefined. Undefined. We'll have our profile likes also be undefined. We are going to have our loading following as false, and then we have our profile following. So this will be an empty array. We're going to have our profile followers be an empty array. We're going to have our profile verified followers be an empty array. Our profile followers will be an empty array. And finally, our error will be false. That is that. And initial state is mad at me. Why? Because we're not using it and because we're not importing things. That's fine. I don't know why it's mad at interface. We'll get over it. Let's go ahead and import some stuff here. So import this and then import our feed post. And then I must have mistyped. Oh, this should be a user array. Okay, that's easy enough to fix. There we go. That's good to go. So now before we set up any of our async thunks, let's just go ahead and set up the profile slice as is. So we'll go ahead and say export const profile slice is equal to create slice. And let's go ahead and import create slice. And then we'll set up our object here. So name will be profile. We'll go ahead and set up the initial state. Okay. And then we'll have our reducers. We'll set up a reducer in a second. And then we'll also have extra reducers. So extra reducers, colon, and then we'll have our builder, maybe builder, and set up our error function like so. So there is our slice. Followers, is still broken for some reason. Oh, because I accidentally hit U and undid that. Terrific. Okay, now to save us a little bit of time, we're going to hop into the profile page and grab the API call that we're doing to get the user's profile information. So let's hop in there real quick. And then we're going to go ahead and just grab this fetch user. Okay, let's go ahead and delete that. Whoops, let's make sure we don't do that. Let's hop back into our slice. And then right here below our initial state, I'm just going to go ahead and paste this in. Now, of course, we have to do some work to make this actually work for us, but we can go ahead and import our axios really quick. And then we'll deal with username and token in a second. And then obviously we don't need this. We don't need that. And we don't need this. Okay, so let's go ahead and start setting up our asyncThunk and we'll bring in what we need. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we'll say export const and we're going to say load users profile. Like so, equal to create async, maybe asyncThunk. And then in here, we'll have our profile / load. And then under here, we'll have our async. And this is going to take in a username of type string and thunk API, like so. There we go. And I don't know where we're getting the token from. I guess we set up the backend to not need the token anymore, but I think in reality, you really do need the token. And I think I got rid of that code. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to update this a little bit. We're going to go ahead and create a new interface, maybe below here, interface. And we're going to go ahead, interface. And we're going to go ahead and call this load profile payload. We're going to go ahead and put in the username string and the token string. And we're going to go ahead and fetch that instead of just a username. And that should hopefully fix things. So this will go ahead and be payload, maybe payload. And this will be a load user. What did I call this? Profile payload, load profile payload. There we go. Cool. So now what we can go ahead and do is we're going to go say let user, and then we'll set up our try and our catch. So catch, and then in our catch we'll e, and then we're going to go ahead and return a thunk API dot reject with value, and then pass in e. So really we don't actually need this guy. And then from here, we're going to do something very similar. We're still going to have our rec here. So let's go ahead and grab this guy and paste it in here. Cool. So we'll have our rec. Now, instead of username, this will be payload, payload.username. And this will be payload.token, like so. So that's good to go. And then before we actually return this, we're going to equal user rec.data. So I guess we could have grabbed that part as well, but then we're going to do a little bit more work. So const birth date is equal to new date. And then we're going to go ahead and pass in user.date of birth. And that should exist, but it probably doesn't know that it's a user object. So it's fine. Const joined date is going to be equal to a new date. And this can be user.create time, can't type, stamp, and then const, and then birth, maybe birth date object. So we're going to go ahead and set up the birth date properly. Is going to be a DOB. Let's go ahead and bring that in, equal to, and then here our month is going to be birth date dot get month. We're going to go ahead and have day equal to birth date dot get day, or not day, date. And this one we have to do +1 because we're like off by 1 somehow. And then finally we're going to have year is going to be birth date dot get full year, like so. So that's going to be the birth date. And then we're going to go ahead and say user is equal to ... and then user. And then we're going to go ahead and have date of birth is going to be equal to our birth, maybe date object. And then we're going to go ahead and have our create timestamp, I think it's a lowercase. Yes, it is going to be joined date. So set up that user, and then we can go ahead and return the user. Now, as we get going here, we're going to add some more thunks in here, or thunk dispatches in here. But for now, we're going to keep that as is. So that's how we're going to go ahead and load the user. So now let's go and set up our reducers and our extra reducers. So our first reducer is just going to go ahead and reset the state, or the profile basically. It's going to go ahead and just set up a reset profile. And this one is going to be dead simple. All it's going to do is return the initial state. So return initial state, and that's going to go ahead and reset everything. And then let's go ahead and do our builder to add case, and this is going to be load users profile dot, and then first we'll do pending. Here we'll have our state, our action, and let's go ahead and say state is equal to ... state, and inside we'll have loading user, because we're specifically fetching the user profile, so that'd be true. And then error will be false. Okay, and then we need to go ahead and return the states. That'd be a rookie mistake. Next we'll add our builder dot add case, and this will be loading users profile, and then dot fulfilled. I did something wrong. We'll see what I did wrong here. Fulfilled. And then we'll say state action. Okay, what did I break? Loading users profile. Oh, it's just load. Okay. Load users profile, and then fulfilled. Trying to have 1 L. There we go. So once again, we'll say state is equal to ... state. And then loading user will be false now because we fulfilled. Our profile user will be our action.payload. And we also need to go ahead and set up our edit profile. So edit profile, we'll go ahead and set that to the user's info. So our nickname, maybe nickname of our user will be action.payload, and then .nickname. Okay, and then our bio will be action.payload.bio. Our location will be action.payload.location. And then our website URL will be action.payload.website URL. Edit profile, what is wrong with you? Let me double check something here. Edit profile, that should be correct. Okay, I'm just stupid and I completely spelled edit profile wrong. And then let me make sure I fix this. There we go. Okay, that is our state setup here. Let's return the state. And then finally, let's see. Let me go ahead and up here and delete this so this isn't an error anymore, because otherwise I'm going to forget about it. There we go. Looks better. And then finally, let's go ahead and do our rejected really quick, which is very simple. So our rejected will be builder.add case, and this is going to be load users profile dot rejected. And here we'll have our state action, like so, and then we'll have our state equal to ... state. Once again, loading user will be false. Here our error will be true. And did we set error to false inside of here? We did not. We probably want to go ahead and also set error to false here. Error false, just to be safe. And then we'll go ahead and return state. And then we'll go ahead and at the bottom here, we need to go ahead and export a couple things. So export const reset profile equal to, and then this will be a profile slice dot actions, and we'll export default, and then profile slice dot reducer. I could type. I cannot type. There we go. And of course I spelled something wrong once again. This sickness is really getting me. Okay, so that is our slice set up. Let's go into our Redux store now, and we need to go ahead and set up a couple things in there. So let's hop in there. So now inside of our Redux store, let's go and import our profile slice or profile reducer. So we'll go under here and we'll go ahead. Actually, we'll do this first. So import profile reducer from /slices/profile slice, so it knows where to import it from. And then we'll come over here, and I don't know why it's mad at us. Go ahead and put in profile, maybe it's because we're not using it. Profile, and then this will be profile reducer, maybe. There we go. And why is profile slice not showing up? Did I mistype? Let's check. Profile slice is there. Slices/profile slice. Looks like it's there. Profile slice. For exporting profile slice, let me make sure I spelled this correctly. Let's see. Oh, this shouldn't be export const. It should just be const profile slice. Let's check store again. Okay, I think we're good now. So that imports properly. And now we need to do the fun part of adding in some new ignored stuff, because we're gonna have some things that it doesn't like. So let me go and scroll over here on all the things that we need to add. So inside of our ignored actions, this is gonna get really ugly really fast. So maybe we go ahead and do one of these. So let's go ahead and just do this. Let's go ahead and do this and this and then this. Okay, and we need to add a couple more in here because we're gonna have some timestamps that's not going to like. So we're gonna go ahead and add in profile, and then /load/fulfilled. We need to add in profile/post/fulfilled. I know some of these don't exist yet, but I'm just gonna go and nip them in the bud. And then profile/follow/fulfilled. Okay, and we need to do the same thing here inside of our ignored paths. So once again, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. And this is going to go ahead and get rid of some errors inside the console, because it doesn't like not being able to parse dates properly, basically. So here we're going to go ahead and have profile, profile.profile user.create time stamp. That's the primary one it doesn't like. And then we're gonna also go ahead and ignore profile.profile post, because there's multiple timestamps on that, and that's gonna go ahead and ignore those timestamps for us so we don't get that error. So that's good to go. Now we need to go ahead and update. I don't remember where this actually goes, so I think I'm supposed to be updating the profile page here, but whenever I set this up, I wasn't specific. So I need to go ahead and double check, but I think we're going to go ahead and hop into the profile page. Let me just double check really quick. But basically we're going to go ahead and start using our profile slice, and profile reducer is still mad. Why are you still mad? This is exactly how I have it inside the code. Import profile reducer from /slices/profile slice. I don't know what the difference was, but apparently I had a typo there. But let me double check where this code's supposed to go, and then we will be right back. Yep, so it is not supposed to go in the profile like I thought. It's supposed to go in the layout. So let's hop into the layout page and set up so that we can actually fetch user profile whenever things change. So let's go ahead and go into, since we already have it open, pages, and then layout page.tsx. And we're gonna go ahead and set up a new use effect under this guy. So use effect like so, and then let's go ahead and do this. And this use effect is gonna watch for user name and state dot logged in, like so. And why are we mad? Probably because we need to bring in username. So that's also fine. So let's come up here and I'll just go ahead and set it up under location. So const username is equal to use params, like so. And then that should be good to go. So now we'll have username. And so now we're watching username and state.logged in. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and dispatch. We should have a dispatch already. We're going to go ahead and dispatch reset profile. So anytime anything changes with the username or logged in, we'll go ahead and reset that. And then we're going to go ahead and check if we have a username and we have a state.logged in. And I'm also going to go ahead and check for state.token now, since we got rid of that extra code to allow people who isn't logged in to view your profile. Then we're going to go ahead and dispatch. And this is going to go ahead and dispatch load user's profile. And then in here, we'll go ahead and pass in the username and the token. Except here, token will be state.token, I guess. There we go. Okay, so that should go ahead and load in the profile for the user. And now what we can go and do is we can hop into our profile page and just set up some simple stuff inside the profile. And then we'll probably go ahead and end it off there, get our user data loaded in, and then be good to go. The next episode we'll continue working on getting the top bar and some other stuff done. So with that being said, let's hop into the profile. So in the profile, we are pretty much bare bones at this point. Let's go ahead and delete all of this stuff. We'll still have token, we'll still have username, that's perfectly fine, but we're going to go ahead and grab some more stuff. So we're going to go ahead and say const profile user. We're going to head and grab the profile post, profile following, and profile likes. And this is going to be equal to use selector. And then we'll have our state, root state, and this is going to be our state dot profile. So we're going to go ahead and grab all of the profile information right off the rip. And then also we're going to go ahead, instead of just grabbing the token from a user state, we're going to go ahead and grab logged in and token. So go ahead and say token. We'll also go ahead and say logged in. So that should be fine. That's good to go. There's one thing in here that we need to set up later on. So I'm going to go ahead and just comment this out and say or actually I'll say to do set up display edit profile later. That's fine. And then we'll have const following list. And I probably could have grabbed this from the user now that I think about it, but I think that I renamed it, so that's why. So this is going to be use selector, and then we'll have a state root state, and this is going to be state.user.following. Yep, I renamed it, so that's why. And then we're going to set up a couple of local states. So I have our const, and then this is going to be is following, and set is following equal to use state. Bring that in, and it's going to be a boolean. We'll set up false. We're also going to have const and then is follower. So is follower, set is follower equal to use state, a boolean. Once again, we'll set that to false to start, such as you're going to check to see if the profile is following you, if you're a follower, so on and so forth. Next, we're going to also go ahead is logged in user, and set is logged in user. This one equal to use state boolean. Again, there's going to be some special things that get displayed if you're logged in or not. So there's that. That's good to go. And then finally, all we're going to go ahead and do is, I did have the dispatch in here at one point, but now it's definitely not. I just checked. So I'm going to go ahead and ignore that. What we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to do some work inside here. So underneath the profile, we're going to go ahead and still have our curly braces, but inside our curly braces, we're going to have profile user, and profile user dot username is equal to username question mark. If that's the case, we'll show the profile. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and have a div, and I don't like that div. There we go. Class name equal to, and this can be profile dash loading. And inside of profile loading, we're going to have something called circular progress, like so. We're going to go ahead and throw a size on that of 20, and then SX equal to, we're going to throw a color on that. And this is going to be pound, and then 1D A1F2, which should be Twitter blue. There we go. And that should be good. Now we do have a lot of stuff we're not using at the moment, but we are going to use this later on, so do not worry. So to go ahead and wrap up this episode, let's go ahead and go into a profile.css and set up this profile loading. That way it looks nice. First, inside of our profile right here, we're going to go ahead and set a min height. Right here, actually, we're going to set a min height of 1 VH. And this is probably going to get changed because it doesn't actually do what I want, but it is what it is. We're going to go inside it anyway, 100 VH. And then we're going to go ahead and set up the profile loading. So, oops, dot profile loading. That's how you spell loading. There we go, profile loading. And then width will be 100%. We're going to have height fit dash content. And then we're going to have a padding on the top of about 32px just for a little bit of spacing. Display flex. We'll justify content in the center, and we'll align, we'll align items in the center. So in theory, we should be able to hop in here, go to a profile, see it loading, and then hopefully see the user's information if I didn't screw everything up, or it's going to be broken and I want to debug everything, and this is going to take way longer than I'd hope. So let's just see. So good news, it is loading. Let's go ahead and see if I can open up Redux really quick. Okay, so we got Redux so we can actually see kind of what's going on as well. So let's give this a refresh. So let's first just try going to the user's profile so you can see that it's loading. What happened to Redux? So load was rejected. Why was load rejected? So we can see our loading, I'm guessing, let's see, 401, 404. Oh, you know what? We need to add the profile. So let's just go back to the slice really quick. I thought I had changed this, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm going crazy. So whenever we load users profiles, there should be user slash profile slash this, I believe now. So let's go ahead and try it again. So now if we refresh, we don't get the loading anymore. That's fine. But if we go into Redux, we should see that I don't see anything. Profile load pending, profile load fulfilled. There we go. Inside profile, we have the profile user, we have our edits. Looks good. Now we don't have any information there because we're not loading or showing anything. We're going to do that later. If we go back home, as refine, we go to Rick's profile. I thought I fixed that, but I guess not. There we go. Now Rick Sanchez, if we come back in here, we should have a reset. So reset everything to 0 so you don't see my stuff. And we have load fulfilled. It loads fast enough that you don't really actually see the loading spinner. But if it takes a little bit longer to load it, then you'll actually see that loading spinner instead of nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Again, sometimes things take a little bit longer. Whenever I'm not sick, hopefully I'll be able to get into the swing of things and not take as long. But I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here at the YouTube algorithm. If you guys do want to see where we started from absolute scratch to get to where we are now, there's a playlist in the description down below. But anyway, y'all, this has been Ether on Coda. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you all in the next video.